Hello folks, welcome to what Ray says is number 12 of the Tech Tips. Today we're going to be talking about batteries, battery holders, lithiums in the old style batteries, and I guess we're going to do part one of we don't know how many series on introduction to multimeters, and maybe we can all learn something about those. Ray, talk to us.
Yeah, batteries. They're used in coin-op devices in a few places, video games, jukes, and pinballs, to hold data. Mostly they were used to hold bookkeeping data for the operator, to know how many plays, how many coins, keep track of earnings. That was their main function. In home use, they have another function to keep custom settings that people might like, like the easy and hard settings of playing the game, which amounts to a bunch of timing. How quick a feature will stay on. You can make the game easier or harder. It also holds free play. If you don't have batteries in it, every time you start the pinball machine, you've got to reinitialize the CMOS, the backup memory, to get it back into a game use function, because it will come up into a service mode. So really the battery's importance at home is to make the game start easier, and it maintains your high scores. It has a lot of little functions, but it will not down the game.
Yeah, and like if you put your game on at the thresholds instead of winning a free game, which is kind of irrelevant at home,
Right.
most people will set that up for extra ball unless...
It'll load defaults. Each device has defaults, but they won't suit a homeowner. They're suited for coin-op defaults.
Sure.
So it's just an ease of use of the device without opening a coin door and reinitializing the memory and programming it again, or putting credits on it, whatever so the battery serves not a vital function, but it's a convenient function is what it offers.
Well, the vital function of it is if it's in there and it's been in there for 20 years, you better do something about it, or you're going to have a problem. And
Right.
we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Right.
But take this in your preferred order.
Yeah. I guess we'll deal with the different types of battery holders you'll see in pinball machines. These type with the fiberboard back were used in your earlier pinball machines, and mostly Williams Bally, mid-80s stuff through the 90s, and then they...
See which over there?
Yeah, see which would use a NiCad, because
Okay.
it was early Stern Bally. I'm talking middle of the road machines like 85 through 88,
Okay.
90. They changed to this battery holder. I guess these got too costly to manufacture because of the metalwork involved. Plus, these are really hard to change batteries in. They really clamp the battery. So I guess the operators complained about this type, because you can really hurt yourself trying to get a battery in and out of this. You've got to actually, when it's soldered in a board, you have less flexibility here. And you're really fighting the metal because this part's soldered to the board. So they went to the easier change, because these are very easy to put a battery in and get out. These are in the 90s pinballs, the later mid-90s to later 90s. These were used from somewhere around 85 to 89, 92 maybe. Then they changed to this. And then Stern started using these along with Data East, where they don't have so many solder points to the board. They have two.
Okay.
The problem with these is the heavy weight of the batteries and the vibrations of the pinball. These often break loose from the board.
Oh, okay.
That's why there is a tie wrap going through here. Actually, it doesn't go through these holes. It goes around the whole battery pack when you change batteries in a Data East or Sega game. And some Sterns. They recently now don't even use this anymore. They use button cells, which are mostly like this. This is a bigger one. This is a 2430 3-volt lithium battery. This has the same voltage as what these are going to do as far as memory goes.
Okay, so those are your three.
Yeah, you really only need 3 volts to hold memory. This will supply 5 volts, 4.86, if you multiply the 1.5 volts times 3.
Right.
This gives you 3, but really 3 volts is all you need to do to hold the memory.
That's all it requires.
That's right. There's just a question of milliamperage. you're going to get a lot more milliamperage with a 3 AA's. You'll get a lot more longevity out of the battery. This will not supply that for that kind of length of time.
Well, because it's under a heavier load.
Yeah.
And
Most of your devices that this go in are low load devices. They've changed the memory chip and the memory requirements so that this will actually work as long as that.
well, the modern electronics aren't.
they're not
They don't.
powerful.
Yeah, they don't require.
Right.
They're more efficient.
Yep.
I guess there would be one more battery holder to that pile, and that would be a remote.
Yeah, there is all kinds of devices. This is a remote. This is what you'll see in some. You solder this to the battery leads of the board, and then you put your AA's, and then
We're going to
stick it.
see that in a minute.
This is another guy's approach. He actually homemade this. These are for sale on websites. This is where you put this in the battery holder, and then you use one of these to go remote.
What?
In other words, you leave your battery holder there, and then you go to the remote battery holder. What it's doing is it's saving you from soldering. Yeah. But your battery holder has to be in good shape to use that.
So why wouldn't you just put batteries in it?
You know,
That's the dumbest thing I ever saw.
yeah. Well, they sell these. They're
Hey, everybody, don't buy that. Why do you have that?
They're $20.
Well, send it back.
I bought this for a customer, and I never got to the service call, and I guess I ended up with an extra.
That's ridiculous.
But this is a remote stuff.
Well, the remote is nice, and what we're going to show you here, this Bally Playboy board, the good application there, rather than replace the solder to the board battery.
It's what they go in AA's that go in most of your devices in pinball, the older devices, you know, and they're date coded. You know, this is your like Duracell alkaline, and this is what they're coming out with now, Energizer. There's Duracell.
They're both lithium?
No, this is an alkaline, this is
Okay.
a lithium. And when you buy these, you'll notice the weight is like, you could have 2 of these for what one weighs. They're very light.
Oh, we're going to go back to that motorcycle battery.
Yeah, they
Oh,
last a
my
long
Lord.
time, and they have super energy. The power that comes out of one of these will far exceed.
Tell everybody about the motorcycle battery that we installed in that my bike that's now running now that it's fall instead of summer.
Yeah, we do automotive.
What don't we fix? Did you put one of those batteries in your tractor?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
450 cold cranking amps out of a battery that's this big and weighs what this meter weighs. You don't ever want to short something like that. It'd be terrible.
Well, their discharge rate is much
They
higher.
put a fuse on top of them actually to save people, because if you blow one of them up, you're in trouble. Because when it leaks the lithium outside of the gel that's in it, it's extremely corrosive. It'll burn through anything, and it catches on fire.
Nice.
So, which is why you don't want to solder any of these batteries unless they have a lead. If it's designed to be soldered, it will have leads out of it, and you do not want to short these leads when you carry these around in your parts box.
Ooh, okay.
Do not short them. Be big bad. Quickly. They get hot and then they blow up. And then the acid comes out, the gel, and it is very corrosive. This is an example of one that needs a holder. You do not solder wires to this. You don't do this to this type of battery. You know, there's all different kinds of configurations. This would be a third AA. This would be 2/3 of a AA in lithiums, and this would be a AA in lithium. This would be an extremely powerful battery for a device. It would last a long time. The milliamperage out of this would far exceed a dozen of these. They're expensive. They're $20-30 a piece.
Wow. Okay, so why do you have those? Under what applications are you using those?
Jukeboxes.
Okay, because I see the guys up the street.
You guys suck.
They use,
instead of replacing the battery holder
Yeah.
that's on something that's leaked, and you know, probably the whole board should be replaced.
Right.
But instead of doing a battery holder, they're soldering in these lithium batteries, or at least they say they're lithium. I assume they are.
They're using this, and they will just make like an S out of it, and they will solder it onto the board.
in place of where the battery holder
Right.
was.
Right.
Is that a good thing to do, or is that a bad thing to do? I'm assuming it's a bad thing to do since they're doing it.
Well, it's an inexpensive way to get around from replacing a battery holder. These are $9, okay? And you have to have the labor to do it. And then you've got to put batteries in it. So batteries are probably $1 a piece or something. So instead of spending that, you can get this for less.
But the problem being is, what's the power in that battery compared to
Yeah, this one.
compared to A, the originals, and B, putting 3 AA batteries, you know, back into the battery holder?
Yeah, this has a very low milliamperage. It'll have less use, less off time use. The thing to remember about a coin operated device, whether it's a pinball or whatever it is, the battery load is not used unless the game is off. When it's off is when you're leaning on the battery. More time it's off, more you use the battery. It's opposite of another device, any other device.
And it does not charge when it's on.
No, no. The early pinball machines, like this board, came out of a Bally Playboy. And this is actually the original battery from 1978. They used GE and what they called nickel cadmium NiCads. And this is a third A pack here. It's a double A with 3 cells in it. But as you can see, what it does is it eats the board.
Yeah, this board's destroyed.
Yes, it is. It eats the board and it crawls underneath stuff. Now, this is the plating it's eating off, but it's reaching all over the board. In fact, you could even have corrosion away from the battery.
On other boards.
Yeah, and people think that, well, first off, nickel cadmium batteries used to be the battery of choice for power devices. Lithium's far replaced them. NiCads are rechargeable. This has a charging circuit in it. So when you put one of these lithium batteries in this, you have to put a blocker diode. Just like Godly boards, you have to put a blocker diode because they had this type of battery in it. This is a NiCad, and it was made by Varda. They're still available. It's just a different style of that.
Because your lithiums, they don't want to try to be charged. You're not
charge it, they blow up.
Okay.
The only ones that are made to be recharged are ones that are designed for it. There are lithium batteries designed to be recharged, not these.
Well, sure, like the bike, the battery we put in our bike.
Totally
Well, yeah,
it's totally different. There are lithiums that are made to be recharged. These, however, are not.
So anyway, they're soldering in these little batteries, and if your game's not on very often, which of course home use games really spend 98% of their time
You're leaning
off.
hard on the battery. You're going to be dealing with batteries every year or two.
So a year and a half goes by, you turn on the game and it says time and date not set, or depending on what year the machine is. And you can't just reach in there and pop in new batteries because they soldered that thing in there, and they're not going to come out and help you with that at all.
Well, they're causing an inconvenience, that's all.
Yeah.
I like to keep the standard user-friendly, and the more the homeowner can do, the better it is, because he doesn't have to have anybody come in his house. He can do. Pinball owners tend to like to do their own maintenance, stuff like this. You know, it would be sort of like calling somebody to come out and put air in your tires, in your car.
Yeah.
Why would you could buy a little air, I mean, why would you want to do that?
Now, of course, the homeowner can solder a new battery in.
That's kind of an advanced feature, to solder a battery. You keep the heat away from this or it will blow up in your
Well, you have to remove, you're going to remove the board entirely to do it. You can't, can you do it with it in the machine?
No.
Maybe.
No, because you'd never be able to trim this, and even if you figured out what you wanted, the soldering pads are not on this side of the board.
They're on the back.
You're not going to do anything that's going to mean anything here. You got to go here. There's two sides to a circuit board. There's a component side, solder side. When you're soldering anything on a board, you have to address the solder side. That's why it's called the solder side.
Why is it called the solder side, Ray?
Well, it pulls solder from this side to this side. You don't solder here and get it to come out here. It will if you lean on it hard enough, but it's not the correct way to do it. But anyway, NiCads are not the electronic choice battery anymore. They disappeared years ago out of devices like cell phones and portable phones and any electronic device for home use. You know, and they started using nickel cadmium in the beginning. Then they started with lithium, and then there was a battery called a metal hydride. The coin-op industry never used that because it's very expensive. They are not even used anymore because lithium has far exceeded what a metal hydride could even be used for as far as power and the economy of it all. But anyway, that's what you're going to find if you're in your device for batteries. Now there are other little offshoots. This happens to fit a jukebox. And this is a timekeeper battery made by ST.
Oh, that looks, is that them stick-it NSM batteries?
Yes.
Why can't I find it on the screen?
And they're very compact. And they are a chargeable lithium cell. But it mounts on top of an IC thing here. That's a specialty battery. In pinballs there was also offered these. This is another specialty battery. It is a zero power RAM battery made by Mostec. And these happen to be new. I have a bunch of them. This you would replace here with your RAM, and you could even use two, but generally one is going to do it. And this will replace your battery, and this is a permanent battery, although it has limitations. It will die. That's a specialty application. Some advanced people like to use that instead of having any battery. They put one of these on. This only fits these early boards, though.
Oh?
Yeah, where you used a certain RAM.
So that's, just knowing the application of that is kind of advanced.
Yeah. You know, when you have different configurations of button cells, this is a tab button cell. It has the spot weld tabs already on it. You don't want to try to do that with this. This is made to fit in its respective holder. You slide the battery in and this is on your board already. You know, I carry all this. Video games tend to use that, but pinball is starting to use it. Stern is starting to use this on their new pinball machines like Metallica and AC/DC. Their new platform of board is using this. This is
button cells.
Yes, and they have a holder like this. They don't solder a battery on.
Are they using lithium from the factory now at this point?
Yes.
Because they don't leak.
Right.
They don't leak.
Yep. There's also vertical lithiums that stand up off the board.
Okay, I don't know if we've given any tips. Here's a tip. You want to save you want to change your batteries, but you want to save your settings. You don't want to go and reset the date.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable with the machine being on. You got to have the machine on for this. If you change batteries with the machine off, you're going to lose your settings as soon as you pull the second battery out. If your batteries are low, as soon as you pull the first of the three out, you're going to lose them. So you should do it with it on, and you just have to develop a comfort level for getting in the back box.
Yeah, this is funny. You know, you see every once in a while you'll run across an ad on eBay or wherever, and they try to show you the number of games on the audit.
Other style of battery holder for
you know, the audit will say total games played, 14,
right.
and the game's 30 years old or whatever. Not everybody knows that. Well, up until now, I think that on the WAS, they've made it so that you can't clear that.
Yeah, well, that's computer-driven game. You have an option for that in computer-driven games because the data is stored in an unvolatile area and it's permanent.
But all the older games, Williams included, all those. If you change the batteries, your play count's gone.
Yep.
Or you can always just go into settings and clear the audits, and your play count's gone. So don't ever fall for that goofy thing.
And you change one battery at a time, and you simply, if you have this holder, you're in better shape. There is a direction marked, plus, minus, and they just simply snap in. I like to point the dates out so that as you look at them you can tell
when you did it.
Yeah, I like to. But now at the end of this terminal and this terminal is your 5 volts. And if you have a meter, and set your meter, this symbol is your voltage, V, and that little symbol here is a DC current symbol. This is your sine wave is your AC current symbol.
Okay.
And this happens to be a Fluke 115, which is a kind of advanced meter, but it's not a $1,000 meter. They're very reasonable, and you can get down to a little meter if you want. It has a convenience transistor tester, which is neat. I don't even have that. But this will be your other type of meter where you'll find in stores like Radio Shack. And
yeah, I think that's a Harbor Freight job.
Yeah, and
probably 20
it's
bucks, 15 bucks.
These tend to be harder to use. First off, this is auto ranging. You don't need to be going like, well, which one do I want? Well, people don't know what the hell that means. This is 20 milliamps. That's 2,000 milliamps. That's 20, or not millivolts. And then this is 20 volts, 200 volts, 1,000. So it's not auto ranging. So and then what comes out of it is a little different. This is going to give you more because it's automatic. This has an analog sweep down here. This does not.
But for your general homeowner who just wants to get a taste of doing some diagnostics and testing some things, it's not a bad place to start.
You know, and simple things like be aware of where the pointer is, by the way, because it has this end. So don't be here thinking you're set at this and you're down at amperage.
Well, if that's the case, then you probably don't want to be using the multimeter.
Right. You must, simple things like that, you got to pay attention. You don't want to be in a hurry because you can hurt yourself or the meter. A meter like this will not be protected. If you do set it wrong and get on there, this is gone. This has current protection. You can't hardly hurt it. So you got to watch what you're going to do with a meter.
You trying to complete a circuit there somewhere? Somebody I know recently tried to complete a circuit positive to positive. It didn't work out.
No reference, was there?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. No, I guess when this is out of the game, I'd have to tie these together like the ground plane does.
The circuit board ties them up, so you got 3 1.5.
Anyway, we'll demo what this is. You've got it set to DC, and you'll go across one now. This is 1.8 volts. Lithiums will generate a little more current than an alkaline cell. So 1.8 times 3 is what you're going to get when you go across all these in a board. You're going to get that multiplied to your...
And it said negative, which means you were on backwards.
Correct. Yeah, and that's positive up here in this, and then you've got your analog bar down here, and you can see how it works. That's a lot faster of a reference. You can see it dart before this thing. This will go up to your reading. That's 3 volt line, that's 6 volts, so you can see it'll go to 2 volts right away. This didn't even move yet off 1. It'll eventually get there, but you can see this analog is good for checking quickly and getting off if you're not sure of a current.
Okay, well, speaking of batteries, we're going to have to cut here because you see that flashing 0 minutes?
Your battery's dead.
I don't even know what that is. That may be my amount of film, but I've got
dead now.
I've got a backup camera, so we're going to cut away here, grab a drink of water or something. We'll be right back.
I got that.
Okay, we're back. I was not out of battery. I was out of film. I was jammed. What game did I play the other day?
Junkyard.
Junkyard. Yeah, that was still on the camera.
You ran out of digits.
Okay, where are we at? We've showed the battery holders. We've talked about the lithium batteries and the different batteries that were available. What are you showing here?
It's an alkaline battery.
Okay, it's at 1.6.
Yeah, these have 0.2 of a volt more, the lithiums. Doesn't really matter, but batteries like alkaline batteries and NiCads, they leak alkaline, corrosive, not acid.
And it will damage things that it's not even touching.
Right. The same thing will happen, but it's actually, people call it acid. It's not acid. I was corrected by a person.
It's alkaline.
It's alkaline damage. It's alkaline corrosion. If you know anything about the pH spectrum, this is how I was explained. And not that it matters. It's a technicality.
This is acid.
But to be correct, alkaline batteries and NiCads leak alkaline corrosive, which is not acid. It's the other end of the pH spectrum. Although two ends can be corrosive, acid is corrosive, so is alkaline. You wouldn't want to put your hand in either.
Either of them, no. Yeah. They're both equally.
pH at 0 is neutral.
Right.
Okay. If you have a fish tank, you probably know. Fish diet, either way. But acid will do this from a battery, such as a wet cell, or alkaline will do this, and that happens to be alkaline damage. And also, there are misnomers about battery leakage. People think that this is going to save their device from any damage ever, because if it leaks, it'll destroy this, and you just simply
start over.
Unclip this and put over. Yeah, not true. Batteries like alkaline and NiCads, when they leak, they emit two things: liquid, but more importantly, gas. They leak vapor. Vapor does this, not liquid. This thing doesn't have enough liquid to eat this board like it's doing. The vapor is what got to this. This thing will leak vapor, and the vapor in a pinball machine will stay in the back box because it's not really vented.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It has air vents, but there's no air to force through it. It just sits there. This will hover everywhere in the machine. You could have a remote battery across the room, and the vapors are going to get on something if you don't have a big enough area. In a pinball back box, it's a small area. If you mount it anywhere, it's still going to get on your board or your connectors. I've seen battery acid damage to a board that was over here and the battery was here.
Yeah, you got a set of 4 boards and they're all destroyed.
Yep. Vapor is, and there's documentation on the internet about this type of thing. Most people think they're safe when they do this. You're really not. The trick is to use a battery that doesn't do that, period.
Lithium.
Yeah. No NiCads and no alkaline.
So at this point, quick shout out. If you haven't checked your batteries in your machines recently, 1 machine, 50 machines, whatever you've got.
Most folks that aren't collectors and such, they don't even know there's batteries in the device.
If you don't remember when you changed your batteries, you might want to go look. That's the most important tip to take out of this is go check your batteries.
If it gets to this stage, you're into a new board. There is no sensible way anybody on the planet is going to do repair to this and make it work beyond any kind of reliability. It just won't happen. I don't care who you are. This type of damage is catastrophic, and it's not economical to repair it. And I don't care if it's a WPC board or this Early Valley or a Gottlieb. It doesn't matter what it is. When you see damage like this, or even less than this, it's too late.
So if you're at home right now and you have a Bally Playboy, and you open it up and you've got a soldered in battery, but you don't see, if you see this kind of damage, well then it's too late. The game may, well, it may work.
If it works, use it until it dies, because it will.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to replace it.
But what are you going to do there if you don't have the damage? Homeowners, we're only servicing a 100-mile radius. We're not everywhere, and there are people that have pinballs in areas where there really is limited amount of service. Mm-hmm. What do you do there? Can you solder in a remote battery? What would you recommend in that case?
In this case, I'd recommend using this, and I would put a blocker diode because that battery and this board in your early solid-state Bally's were made to be charged, as well as Gottlieb. You have to put a blocker diode. There's documentation on the internet of where to put the diode, and you take out the resistor. Usually is what's in the circuit, because the resistor will control the voltage that's generated from this to keep it what this circuit is needed, and it won't allow too much to go back into here, because this has a charging circuit in it that will charge this. So I would put a blocker diode and solder this type of thing in, and use lithiums.
Okay.
These lithiums you can buy anywhere.
Yeah.
Happy Harry's
hardware store. You can buy them at Village Hardware.
Happy Harry's, Village Hardware, Lowe's, anywhere. Everybody sells these now. This is offered in any package. 9-volt CDs, AA's, AAA's.
The battery holder itself, all the majors, Marco,
Yeah, this battery
Pinball
holder.
Life, wherever,
Right.
Steve at Pinball
This is
Resource.
a standard Japanese battery holder that's used in
You
other
probably
devices.
walk in the Radio Shack and get that even.
Right, correct.
Is there still such a thing as Radio Shack?
Yeah, they're selling mostly cell phones. You know, I buy AA's because I have collectors that change their own batteries, or they don't want lithiums. The cost is triple almost. Lithium batteries.
And alkaline's okay as long as you you know, you replace it every.
And if you're wondering, and I know people are probably asking, well, which brand don't leak? They all leak. I don't care which ones you get. Alkalines leak when they go dead. Lithium batteries don't leak. They just plain go dead. You can have a button cell that's been dead for years and it won't leak. They'll leak if you short them. Same thing with these. They won't leak. They'll just be dead. When these go dead, they leak right away. Almost always. And it doesn't matter what brand. If you change them every 2 years at the most, year, 2 years, you don't really have any worries because they won't leak. I think that is about it about batteries.
Well, you started us on the multimeter. I think we're going to split this multimeter thing into several different weeks. Because it's really, if you ask me, it's too much to swallow in one sitting anyway. But if you,
Well, most folks aren't comfortable doing it anyway. They don't want to use it. They resist it. They don't own one. I know people that own 100 pinball, 50. They don't do anything with that at all. That is an advanced tool. Most people will resist using it or learning it. They just don't want to get in on it.
but at the same time, if you break it apart,
Yeah, just little things
and-
like
today we learned how to test what DC voltage.
right. This is your AC, and if you go in and test AC, which is alternating current, you can go in either way.
Hey, we've got 120 here.
This tells you that you have a shock hazard in case you're.
Stupid.
Yeah, when this meter gets a high voltage reading, it'll give you that little shock thing. But it doesn't matter polarity here because it's wall current. But that's what you're going to see on AC. There again, now if you put this meter, the little arrow, on AC, which is
ACV.
voltage, yeah, it has 200 and a 750 range. They probably purposely did that because if you had a lower AC range,
And
like
you
on
plugged
some
into the wall,
meters,
you'd blow it up.
yes, you would right away. And this is another meter Mike has. This is
That one's made by a gender bender.
nice little hobby meter. Here's your DC side. Here's your AC side. They go 500 and 200, and they make it even a different symbol. These type of meters, I would imagine you don't get any chance for overranging. Yeah. If you have it set for AC or DC and you go to AC, this meter will just read nothing because it's not looking
It'll
for
say,
that.
"What is that?"
Right. So I don't know what
Those
these
other
will
ones
do.
might catch on fire.
They might do something bad. I don't know. But there's a lot of reasons. This has a light to it. There's a lot of settings I don't even get into. I only use what I want. You can program it to beep when it gets to a certain voltage if you're not able to see the meter and you're probing around.
Okay, here's some low
Ranging.
hanging fruit. Continuity test.
Okay.
You want to find out if your wire is good on both ends.
Right.
Here's a wire.
There's a symbol right here, and that means resistance.
Ohms.
This meter has two. This is an audible resistance. If you don't want it to display anything, you just want to hear it beep. What this does is as soon as you get it, it'll give you that, but it'll beep right away.
Okay.
Instant. This,
Just gives you a reading, doesn't beep at all.
right,
It'll say you have zero resistance or nearly.
right. And then that's what you're going to get when you test something. You know, like if you go from here to a wire, that is the...
And that's helpful in like switch testing and lamp testing in the machine when you've got a down.
So here you've got milliamperage, or milliohms, which means it's reading me.
It's reading. Well, sure. There's resistance in everything.
Yes.
Wires have resistance, and
A direct wire is going to be this reading. It will be almost 0, 0. The more direct short you have or wire connection, the more.
Yeah, it's reading 2 ohms resistance in the connection between where it's reading. This
is my resistance between fingers and arms. It's 2 milli.
Oh, you've got you're not a very good you're actually quite a pretty good conductor there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
it actually that meter's pretty sensitive.
Yeah, it is.
Are those other ones that sensitive? Probably not.
No, probably not. But that's how you would read ohms, and then you can get into the other features. This has diode test in white here, and the diode test is.
Okay, hold on, stop, wait. What's a diode again? I don't know if I think we said what a diode is.
It's an electronic gate, allows current to go one way,
but not the other. Yeah. One way only.
And there are different ones. So for your advanced person, a Zener diode is a gate, but only allows a certain amount to go through the gate voltage, and it will not go anymore.
So it's a one-way and a clamp.
Yes,
of some sorts.
And regular diodes are mostly used for switching. That's what these little things are. And
so the diode symbol is an arrow to a block of some sort.
Well, yeah, your band is here. The band represents the black end of a diode, the signaled end.
Okay.
And you'll get a junction reading of 0 one way, which means it's open, which means it won't pass current. The other way, you're going to get you'll get the health of the diode. You'll be reading the actual making of the diode, the content, and it will give you a junction according to its size. This is the one way here, and the black on the anode, and you're going to get a beep, and you'll get a 600. Diodes, depending on their size, are going to give you different readings. Power diodes are going to give you a 0.4 reading. Switcher diodes will be 600, 650. The important part is not the value. The important part is that one way it's open, and the other way you get a reading. If you get the same reading both ways, you're either reading the circuit, because it's in circuit, or you got a bad diode. Most diodes, when they fail, are going to give you a short.
So
they'll give you this both ways.
But you mentioned something there that's you kind of ran right past it, but it's important, is that you can't be 100% certain that you're testing the diode
in circuit
when it's on the board, because it can be running 18 different directions to your meter. You think you're going across the diode, but you're not necessarily. You could be anywhere.
See, I'd like to cover in these videos a little bit of this every time until people have enough of knowledge that they can use one. I went to a vocational technical night school for 3 years just to tune up on electronics years ago. Not much has changed in electronics except the size of stuff. Everything's getting smaller. But it took a week in the one course to learn a meter. A week of every night of 8 hours, 40 hours.
Wow.
And I didn't learn all of it. That was just to learn a meter for the class. I didn't pick this up by trying things. You'd probably waste equipment. Yeah, you have to go get taught. But I'd like to teach people what I learned and what is useful.
Well, yeah, what's important to learn how to maintain your machine.
This thing does stuff I'm not interested in. You can measure hertz, Hz. This will actually measure the cycles coming out of that. If you put it...
It better say 60.
Yeah, the yellow mode is what you hit to get the yellow symbol. This thing does several things here. It'll measure hertz on a voltage scale or amperage scale. This down here is amperage. We're not going to get into that tonight. This is a capacitor check symbol. That's a capacitor. That's an electrolytic symbol for capacitance. Most capacitors will fail. This actually reads up to 10,000 microfarads of capacitor health. And you can check capacitors with this meter, which is really handy.
Okay, well, let's do that. I see a capacitor. How do you aim this thing? I'm still learning how to use the camera. We need to run a course on how to use this camera.
Oh.
Because there's a capacitor right there.
Yeah, that's a ceramic.
And it probably says what it's supposed to be on it, right?
Yeah, you have to have a chart to find out what 0.003 is. I don't know.
We don't know what that means?
Yeah, see, I'm not going to get a reading on it because it's in circuit. See if I can get a reading on any of them. Yeah.
So this goes back to what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
You can't test it in the machine.
Some caps you can't. And some placements on caps and circuits you can't. I don't think I can get a reading on these.
Check this out.
Check the house.
Ain't circuit no more.
Come on.
You know I'm putting that board on eBay too.
There you go.
It's 39 or something.
39 microfarads, or not microfarads. What would that be? It's a little n. I guess it's, I gotta think. Picofarads. The N symbol up there by the F is pico. Microfarads bigger. 1,000 microfarads is 1 pico. 1,000 picofarads is 1 microfarad.
Are you writing that down out there?
No, it doesn't matter. What you're checking is the rating of the thing, and you'll get a reading, and that's 39. If you go on, there's a chart you can print out or go on any website for electronic suppliers, and it'll tell you what that is supposed to be. The symbol is 0.05. That is not the value of it, but that tells you the reading.
On the chart.
Yeah, on the chart, and it's not going to exactly match. But
Now, you can test that either way. That's not a one-way street. That's either way.
correct. Yeah, this capacitor check is either way. And it won't check ESR on a capacitor. It'll just check the actual rating of it, which generally will tell you the health of it. Capacitors are an advanced component to replace. In a pinball machine, the most, and this is why Mike showed you this, in a pinball machine, if you have an early solid state battery, these are on switches all over the place.
Yeah,
in fact, this exact size is.
We talked about those before.
Yeah, if this actually stores a little bit of energy to delay the signal, well, not delay it, to elongate the signal to the CPU so it knows that the ball hit the switch. These on stand-up targets on a Bally Playboy or these early solid-state Bally's or Sterns, these are all over the place. Don't cut them off. These do short. When these short, you will have a lot of problems.
Yeah, your switch matrix will be goofy, all
Ball
crazy.
hits that and things fire and trip and scores because the whole column or row is being tripped by the shorted cap. That's why, and this is the same size they use in Bally's, 0.05. I carry these in a truck now because of that. But yeah, these are important to know how to check. You can check it on the switch in the Bally if you probably unplug the MPU board. You might go back to read if you don't, but you can check these individually. So that's why he pulled this off the board, because that is kind of an important thing to find. Because you'll think it's an MPU, you'll replace it. No, you got to check these. In fact, now that they're aging, the people that used to fix these years ago that were good have to learn a whole new set of problems now, because this type of stuff is going bad. This didn't go bad years ago when these operator guys.
Yeah, well, that's I think that's the single most interesting thing about servicing this type of equipment is that there is no manual for how to fix a 30-year-old circuit board.
Constant learning.
Because whoever wrote the manual, when they wrote it, it's obsolete. The failures you're seeing today are not the failures they were seeing 10 years ago.
Yeah, so a tech of years ago has to relearn, and that's the way it is with everything. You got to have an open mind and relearn.
Of course, the architecture of it hasn't changed, but the failures, you're seeing new failures, and you learn from experience. But your experience yesterday doesn't necessarily apply tomorrow,
Yeah.
other than your ability to adapt to new problems.
Yeah. You always keep your mind open to learn new stuff. I never close my mind. I always learn new stuff from anybody that I find anything else interesting. I store it, remember it. Trick is to remember it. You must have a good memory for all of it.
Well, then we should probably get some sleep every once in a while. Then maybe we'd be better.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, well, we started on the multimeter. We'll pick up on it again next week, and maybe we'll test some TIPs or.
Yeah, I'd like to show people how to use current, which is an advanced feature, and I know most techs that don't even do it.
You know what? Hold that thought. We're gonna have to tack the end on this thing because now I am out of battery and film.
I'm thirsty.
Well, we're gonna take a drink break, and we'll come back and wrap this thing up.
Water.
We need water. Okay, we're just putting an ending on this thing, Ray. Everybody knows what we talked about. You should be accustomed to this by now. You should be absolutely 100% prepared for the next couple of questions.
Yeah, can't answer it.
Who do you want to say hi to this week?
I'm going to shout out to JT, Jim at JT.
Jim at JT.
Yep, out the West Way.
Is he watching this?
Yeah, he watches them. Man.
I haven't seen any comments from him on any of the videos.
He's out west. He's a silent.
He phones in his comments, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't bid on the post though.
I know.
Yeah, well. Okay, and
I like the post.
yeah, who doesn't like our posts?
Drop targets next week.
You knew what the next question was already. You're getting pretty good at this. We're going to talk about drop targets. Why are we going to do that?
We got a request from Gary S.
From Gary?
Gary S.
Was that his name?
Yes.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you
Do
sure?
you want me to say his last name?
No.
Okay.
His name was Gary.
Gary with a last name of starts with S.
Okay.
I don't want to be unofficial, but yeah, he sent me an email requesting drop targets, and he liked the info he gets off the.
Oh yeah, he wanted to see some early Bally drop targets.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, some of them old drop targets, the Gottliebs,
Early
the
solid state.
Bally's. Oh, they're a pain in the butt.
They're different lengths, there are several different kinds, yeah.
Okay, well we'll talk about
Built
that, and we'll follow up, and we'll do another section of the multimeter. Maybe we'll test some TIPs and whatever else it is that you do with that thing in the field. I'm actually interested in that too, because I'll do a continuity test, and that's about it. Earlier today I tried to make a circuit
The
out of
value of it is you can
positives.
repair some of your boards that have out lamps by putting in a little 2N, what are them things, 2N50, I forget the last numbers. They go in Bally pinballs, and then Gottlieb uses a different one. They're little transistors that control lamps. You could do your own repair that way. So that's the value.
Okay, well I've got some bad news for you, Ray. When you go out in the field to fix a pinball machine for a homeowner, it's the low-hanging fruit concept. Most, like you said, most of your customers, they do like to fiddle around and do their own. That's half the fun of having a pinball machine, unless you're in business doing it. Half the fun is making little repairs to it yourself.
Correct.
And when they call you, it's when they've encountered a repair that's over their head.
Yeah, or they created more trying to fix something simple, and then you're now complicated, and now it's way beyond that.
So we're doing both here, Ray. We're empowering the viewership, including a number of your customers, Comet Kurt, to do some of these repairs themselves and leave you even the harder stuff. So I hope you like a challenge. Boy, you see one every day when you go out on the road, don't you? So that's all for this week, folks. Tune in Sunday. I haven't really decided what pin. We've shot pretty much everything here on the floor. I don't know what's going to be incoming between now and this weekend. But Jimmy had incoming. Last night I helped him unload. What did he get? Some uncommon pin. What was that thing?
It's an oldie.
Oh, he got a Medieval Madness. So I think he'll probably enjoy doing the intro on his own machine there. He's been wanting one of those forever, so maybe I'll go visit Jim and he'll fire up the grill. You know what he does really good on the grill is those.
Chicken?
No, is those.
Hot dogs?
No, well, hot dogs are pretty easy. He does these pork loins.
Oh.
Those things are good, man. He gets these peppercorn pork loins. So I'll get a peppercorn pork loin out of the deal. I almost said porn. And
Well, pork loin, that's big, man. That's a meal for.
yeah, we eat that, and of course his specialty hot peppers that he's growing there. We're mowing through those.
Well, then do that pin then.
And I think we're gonna do his medieval. It's not really featuring a GRC pin. We had nothing to do with it other than put A and B together.
Unfortunately, my plan is we didn't have that done. The Elvira and the Party Monsters.
Oh well, we'll get on that. We need that for the Halloween party.
Yes.
So. Okay.
It's coming along.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you watching. We also absolutely appreciate your comments and likes and subscriptions and all that other stuff. puts a smile on my face whenever I see somebody you know, give us a compliment on these videos or even ask a question. The requests are great. All that stuff. Keep them coming, everybody. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Sunday and next week.
Yes, take care.
Hi, we hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Want to know what's coming next? Go like us on Facebook right now. You can keep up to date with all of us here at the shop and what we've been up to. Thank you for watching.